So back in January, I did a video as to whether you need a NAS unit as a home user. But if I'm being completely honest with you, there's something about that video that I didn't share at the time. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video on Bite of Geek. Yes, I'm talking about my video in January of 2023. This particular one, it's been on the channel. A number of people have watched it, and I've had a number of comments on that video. It was basically a pros and cons video of owning a NAS unit. Whether you need one as a home user, the things you should be aware of, and whatnot. If you want to go and watch it, the link's up above. But there's something I never told anybody when I actually recorded that video, and well, the basic simple truth is I didn't generate that video. I used AI to generate that video, and in particular I used ChatGPT 3. At that point in time I was very much playing around with it like an awful lot of people. It was basically a system that you could barely get into 24/7 because it was so popular, it was so new. Everybody wanted to have a go and try and break it and try different things and ask it different things. But I wanted to see, in its simplest form, a straightforward task for it to do. AI, robotics, all this kind of stuff is very much seen as something that will take people's jobs, people's livelihoods away from them, and we'll touch upon that a little bit later on in the video. But for me, it was, can I get it to generate something as straightforward as a video script? And you can see here, I asked it a straightforward question, and it generated the script for a video. Now, the script, if I'd have read that as it was, it probably would have been a 2-minute video. Some of you would have been absolutely delighted on that based upon some of the comments I get about the length of some of my videos. However, I took that as the foundation really. A lot of it I already knew. It was fairly basic, fundamental stuff anyway. And I built a video around that, and obviously did all the editing and everything. So in its simplest form, it worked really well. It took less than a minute for it to generate that, and it was fairly good, to be honest. I mean, obviously, been playing around with it since, and there's a lot that you can have it do. But what I want to discuss in this video is just some of the key things that have come up about these AI systems since, obviously, their launch not so long ago. So one of the really obvious things about ChatGPT is the fact that it only has data up to the end of 2021. So, it really doesn't know about current affairs in the world. And, when you prompt it to try and talk about stuff like that, it really does try and back away, because it doesn't know that information. I've tried a number of things about what's going on in the world at the moment, and it really struggles to actually give you kind of like the information that you want to talk to it about, and inevitably it just ends up kind of like generalizing a response to you. And I think that's a key thing here, is that for certainly for AI at the moment on these types of systems, it is based upon data that it is being fed. Who's feeding it that data? Well, us as humans are feeding it that data. It's stuff that we generate in real world lives. It's stuff that we record on the internet, what's in the news and things like that. So, it's obviously you see things like the image generation, but where's it getting that kind of like artwork to be able to base what it's going to create? It gets that from images that it sees elsewhere, and so inevitably you kind of stumble into the kind of like the murky world of copyright claims and things like that, as who actually owns the underlying work. I think one of the other things about these AI systems, and it's a little bit like how when you send an email to somebody and they take offense to the way that you've gone and written an email, and ultimately you think, I should have put a smiley on the end of that. It's basically they have no emotional intelligence. They have no soft skills. They're not human beings. They don't know how to kind of like communicate in the way that humans would communicate to each other. Their response is very much, it is a generated response. It is a very, very factual based response in that way. We as humans, we can understand and see people's responses and their emotions and their body language and things like that. And we know how to talk to each other. And if we see something that's not quite right, with AI, with a computer-based system, it is just going to give you just generated text, whether it's going to offend you or not. And that is really, quite an important thing. Some of the stuff that is being generated by these systems is quite offensive, and it can be quite offensive. When you see some of these stories about how people have tricked these AI systems into being quite abusive towards them, just by simple things, it's really shows up the flaws in these AI systems. So AI still needs humans to be able to work. It was created by humans. It didn't just come out of thin air. The code, the infrastructure, the data center, all that kind of stuff that it runs on is all, it needs human input into that. What that would look like in 10, 20, 30 years from now, who knows? It could be a completely different situation. But, you have to look at how long things like robotics are taken to get to where they are at the moment. And, these videos where you see robots jumping around all over the place and dancing in coordination with each other is all really fancy and everything, but it's taken a long time to get to that point. The whole getting up and down stairs and things like that, it's taken many years for robots to get to that point. So I think when people talk about whether AI is going to steal your job, I think AI is going to complement your job. If you think about software developers, for example, for years they've been taking, code off of Stack Overflow, going there, asking a question, somebody posts an answer, this is how you go and do something. Having AI go and generate something for you, it's not dissimilar to that. People go to Google, they go to Wikipedia, they go to all of these kinds of websites looking for information and using that information. Well, why wouldn't you have something that would then go and generate that information for you? Certainly if it's using, that information as its source. However, it's not perfect. I tried, some simple task, another simple task for it, which is not in a video. Don't worry, all my videos aren't AI generated. But this was a question. I wanted it to script out some YAML for use in Home Assistant. I already knew what the end result YAML was going to look like. I'd already seen somebody else go and share that code and talk about it. But it took a number of attempts for ChatGPT to actually get it right. I had to prompt it a number of times to get to, kind of like the desired outcome. And when I actually took that, it didn't work because Home Assistant had been updated and ChatGPT didn't know about those latest updates. So, it's kind of, these are the risks that we're talking about with AI. And, if you go to, for example, the Home Assistant forums, there is actually a sticky post on there that says, leave your AI at the door, don't start using it to answer questions for people, because inevitably, the answers are wrong. They need to be fact checked by humans. And people are, it's just generating more chatter and fixing the problems that it actually attempts to do in the first place. And I think, some of the other issues that you've got around AI generated content, obviously there's copyright, it's been blocked in countries and stuff like that, schools talking about blocking it, and students using it and stuff like that. It is such a controversial thing at the moment, and a lot of that is because it's new and people don't really understand the best way of using it. And when things like this are new, and obviously it can be quite powerful, I think the natural response is to back away from it. For me, I kind of see it, it's not perfect, it's got a way to go yet, but it will be something that complements you in your job. You'll use it as a tool. If you look at things like Git, they've got Copilot, and it's a paid for service. You use it to write code, but it's still not perfect. There's a number of issues around that. Microsoft in its ways has probably been using an element of AI within its systems for a number of years. I know I've seen things around PowerPoint and Word and things like that, where it started introducing an element of AI into those applications. So you become accustomed to that. You get used to how it is starting to assist you in your job rather than taking over your job. So I'd really like to know your thoughts about AI, not just ChatGPT, but obviously there's other AI systems out there, but what you think about it. I think it's quite an interesting time. A lot of kind of like negative press around it, and people trying different things with these systems and trying to force them to be kind of like dramatic into that robot, that AI system trying to take over humans and things like that. Will it take your job? I really don't think it will. I think it'll very much, as I say, be something that complements your job. I think it'll take away the mundane aspect of some jobs, leaving people to be more creative, more interactive. The jobs will be more fulfilling from that point of view, because you won't be having to do the same boring, repetitive tasks day in, day out. I think that's where it will go. Where it will go in 50 years from now, well, it may well have developed into something completely different by then. But really keen to hear your thoughts. Drop them down below in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.